Okay, so what you're gonna need to start with is your tumbler, some alcohol, sandpaper, and a rag. So what we wanna do, this one I already did scuff up, but you wanna scuff it up really well. This makes and allows everything to adhere to it. Make sure you get around the rim, around the bottom. Once you got it all scuffed up, take your alcohol, spray it on there, wipe it all off. Make sure you wipe it really well and don't touch it with your hands, and then go ahead and this is ready and prepped to spray paint. Okay, so for this next step, this is our tumbler. It's been sanded, spray painted, it's all ready to go. For this next step, you're gonna need your resin. I'm using Faux Rizzle, part A and part B. Go ahead and mix them up even. I have here prepped 5 cc's of A and B, and now I'm gonna mix them together. And I will mix them in this nice silicone reusable cup, which is super easy to clean. The resin just picks up after it's all been dried out. I do use gloves, and I mix with a popsicle stick, mix it really well. Also have a heat gun. That is just kind of a little extra thing that I like to do. I will be putting glitter on this. I will be using red glitter, silver glitter, some chunky glitter. We're gonna make this kind of a Christmas themed cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and mix this, and then I will be right back. Okay, so we've got our resin all mixed up. You can see there is a little bit of bubbles, but that's not a big deal right now. My favorite way to apply epoxy is to drizzle it on and wipe it with my fingers. I've found out that touching it, I can kind of see how thick or thin it is in spots. So I just go ahead, and these are really nice because they're flexible. You can just pour a nice little line, just kind of wipe and go back and forth a little bit at a time. And once you really start getting it on there, it kind of does glide a little bit easier over everything. That's how you can tell that you're getting it on there. And I try not to fill too much up by the rim until the very end. So I kind of tend to swipe down. And because this is our first coat, this does not need to be thick at all. This is just you're just gonna want to have just enough to let the glitter sit onto it and absorb into the epoxy. So what I do is, you can still see up here doesn't have any, but it's kind of thick through here. So I take my heat gun and I just kind of run it along just to warm it up a little bit. And this helps move the epoxy. Easier to move it around, get it where you need it. Make sure it's the same consistency all over. You don't want to hold it in one spot for too long, so I'm just kind of swiping it along. The heat gun also does help get rid of any bubbles that you have. So see how nice and smooth this is now. And now I'm going to bring it down over the end of the cup. This kind of helps get any thickness all evened out. Just kind of a little bit up here. Move it around. I do have quite a bit on here, so I am going to try to wipe some off. Still making sure it's all evenly covered. And the next step is the fun part, the glitter. Who doesn't love glitter? Well, my husband doesn't, but I was lucky enough that he built me a room in our garage for my craft area because it's a serious addiction of mine. I come out here when I need a break. It's just fun. Let your creativity out. Okay, so we're nice and even all over. We're gonna let this spin for a minute just to let it really even out so there's not any lines like you can see. It's all covered the bottom. I am going to switch my gloves out now so that we can get ready and do the glitter. Okay, glitter time. So I did switch out my mat that I had down here. It did have drips of epoxy on it, and I do like to just use my scrap paper to collect my glitter, to pour it back in so I can save it. And this is going to be an ombre tumbler, so I am going to start with the red right up at top and just kind of lightly glittering it on. I like to start at the top, kind of work my way down. This red is so beautiful. I do like to use the same color base as the glitter that I am going to be using. It just helps with coverage and allowing, if there did happen to be like a spot where the glitter didn't cover very well, the red is still underneath where it kind of helps blur that. So we're just going to keep glittering. You do want the glitter to completely soak into the epoxy, and when you think you're done, you're not done. Pour a little bit more on. You don't want it to look still wet. You want the glitter to... So I am going to go ahead and put some more on since it is still looking kind of wet. Just put a little bit more on. And I will get down to the bottom here in a second, but I want to try to get the majority of the red on and thick. You can see down here how it looks a little darker and still a little bit wet. We still want that because I am going to do silver down here. So I want them to blend nice and even. So I pour a little of that in there. I'm going to let it spin for a second, let some of it drip off, and then I will change my paper over to be able to do the silver and be able to save whatever drops off of the silver. Here I'm just tapping a little bit of it off to kind of speed it up. Okay, another scrap piece of paper. There's my logo. I'm going to slide this one over, slide this one in. We are going to do a fine glitter and a chunky glitter. So I am going to start with the fine. Get it to get a little covering. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Beautiful silver. Get that nice coverage. A good way to do the blending that I have came to love is to shake it side to side and bring the glitter up as you go up the cup. It kind of helps it lay more fine. And I don't want too much up there. So we are just gonna kind of coat this down here. And we are glittering the bottom of the tumbler as well. So what I will do is I will just tip my turner up a little bit so I can just hit the bottom a little bit. Okay, so here we are just gonna go like this, kind of throw the glitter in there. Let it just get on there a little bit. Okay. So you can see we are not very blended here. It does look kind of two-tone, but what you can notice, I hope you can see this in the video, is how nice and sparkly this is and this is, but right in here it looks a little wet. This is good because I am gonna go back with a little bit of red, and then also the chunky glitter is gonna really help blend that in. I don't like to mix my colors. I've seen a lot of people do where they will take like half and half of the red and the silver and then kind of do it in 3 different sections, the red and then the mix and then the silver. But I like to save my glitter, so I don't really like to do that. So I'm going to pull the red back over. I'm going to just sprinkle a little bit in through here. Like I said, bring your glitter up really high. You probably can't see it in the video, but it is just kind of flaking on there just a little bit. See, it's starting to blend a lot better. I'm gonna push this out, and then we're gonna get the chunky glitter on there. It's looking really good. This is looking, there's a little spot right there that needs a little bit more red. Okay. Now we're gonna get in here with some silver chunkies. And right now you will notice that it's not sticking very well, but that's okay. I am gonna just get a little bit on here, and then I will wait about 10-15 minutes and come back with, this is what I have found that works the best for me. Make sure your space is kind of ventilated. Open a door, do something, wear a mask, and I will just spray this on there, and it kind of just acts as like a sealer a little bit to the silver and the red, but it also is wet, so it helps the chunky glitter adhere to it. So we're gonna let this sit for a minute. You can see this nice glitter is kind of letting it blend a little bit more, and then we will come back and put the chunky glitter on. See you in a minute. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just go ahead and spritz this a little bit. I am kind of being far away. Just keep spritzing, spritzing. Short, light strokes of it. You don't want it to get too heavy on there. Make sure to get the bottom. We do want that chunky glitter down there. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with our chunky. Really get it on that middle section. Now the person that ordered this, she actually sent me an inspiration picture, which is, I love. Like, I love to see other people's work. I love the creativity. Like, it's just so great. So this one is gonna say Believe on it. I'm assuming it's probably for a Christmas present. She did also order 2 more, and they are Disney themed, so those will be fun as well. I made some Disney ones for my nieces and my sister when they went to Disneyland. Those were a lot of fun. Here is one of them that I made, a nice white glitter. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, so you can see how nice and blended this is becoming, and the chunky glitter just adds that pow a little bit. So, and you can see that some of the chunky glitter got up here. I like that. I like to see it kind of as like a throw of the glitter. I did get the bottom. I lifted the turner up again, and just get a little bit more on if you need. Never enough glitter. And as this is turning, you can really watch to see if there is any spots that need to have more. You can see it be a little bit wet, so you can kind of get a little bit more in there if you need it. So the fun part after this is I let them sit for about a day. A lot of people I've seen don't do that. So I let it sit for about a day, and then I come back and then I will mix epoxy again. I do a flood coat on it. So what that means is I do a heavier coat. I'll probably mix 2 to 3 times as much as I did for the base of it, just because you really do need a lot more. And that is just going to give you a nice smooth coat. And if it doesn't, that's fine. Like, you can see some of these chunky glitters sticking up, and the flood coat will help lay those down. And also it will kind of fill them in. But if it doesn't, that's fine, because we're going to go back and we're going to wet sand this. And sometimes if I'm using super chunky glitter, I have to sand a lot. And I will actually use my electric sander, which I think is helpful for me. And I'll just kind of give it a nice smooth coat. It will make it look really foggy, but that is okay, because we are going to put another coat of epoxy on over that to really make it look nice. Usually what I will do is I will put my decal on after my coat of, after I've sanded it and made it nice and smooth, and before my final coat I will put a decal on. Like I said, this one is going to say Believe, and she does want it in the foil gold. So this color, how pretty is that going to be? And after that, so after this sets for about a day, I'll come back and I will finish up this video. Thanks for watching. Okay, so we're back and we're ready to do our flood coat. So I've mixed my epoxy already. I've got it all right here. I'm just gonna go ahead, get my turner on, and just do a little bit at a time. Just like before, I'm kind of staying away from the rim too much. And I just saw that there's some tape there, so. Tuck that in. Bring it down toward the bottom. Okay, so now I'm gonna take my heat gun and kind of loosen the epoxy up a little bit, get it to move around a little bit better. Gonna push it up towards the rim. Okay. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to just get it right below the rim so that as it spins, it will kind of work its way up a little bit and not go over where there's not too much cleanup to do after, but also making sure that it's covered. Okay, so we will come back, let this sit for probably until tonight, and then we will come back and see if we need another coat before sanding. But it's looking pretty smooth. There are some spots, so we might need to do a little bit more, or we can just go ahead and sand and then get our decal on and all that. So we'll let this sit. See you soon. Okay, we're back. My cup is all sanded. As you can see, it does look a little bit foggy now. If you can kind of tell the difference between here and here, it is a little foggy, but what we'll do is we'll take our alcohol, we'll spray it down, wipe it down really, really good. Try not to touch it with your fingers. That leaves oils and can cause the epoxy not to stick very well. But now what we're gonna do is we're actually going to apply the decal. So I'm gonna lay this down. I'm gonna find right where I want it. I think right there is gonna look good. And I'm just using my towel to kind of keep any oils off of it. We can wipe this down again after we get the decal on as well. So here's our decal. I did go with silver instead of gold, which I approved by her first. I have my transfer tape, which I will apply. And then I'm gonna scrape it on there. Gonna turn it over, scrape it on the back. And then we are gonna peel it up. Peeled up perfect. And then we will just apply it. I like to smooth down in the center first and work my way out. That helps the bubbles kind of escape. Scrub it down real well. Work back the other side. I'm gonna peel this side up just a little bit. Be able to work the bee down. Beautiful. So now I am gonna let this just sit overnight because it's super late here. And then in the morning, before my children wake up, I will come out and I will put another coat on. Maybe the last coat, I might have to do 2 more, but the cup is pretty smooth, so 1 coat might just be good. And then this cup will be all done, and then I let it sit for about 3 days before I give it to the customer. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, so I have already gone ahead and sprayed it with my alcohol, wiped it all down really well, haven't touched it again with my fingers, make sure to keep all the oils off of it. And now we are going to go ahead and put our final coat, well, maybe our final coat of epoxy on. I am just heating up the cup, helps it move around a little bit. See how well it goes on when you just heat it up a little bit. Get it up around that rim. You do want to make sure it gets up around that rim, but doesn't flood the rim, where then it gets stuck to the turner. Makes a huge mess, lots of cleanup, but if it does, you can clean it up, which I will have to make a video of that when I make a big mistake. This is looking good. I am doing like a flood coat on this coat as well, because this will probably be my last coat. And so I do just want to make sure everything is covered very well. I'm going to hit it with the heat gun quickly, not staying in one spot too long. Okay, and then we will let this sit and come back for the final result. Thank you for watching. Here is the finished product. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, subscribe and like. Share my videos. Thank you so much.